We're crushing it. This is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row that we have a podcast coming out. 4 weeks in a row.
Nice.
The routines are working.
Consistency is key.
Consistency is key, everybody. And we're coming at you video live. Not live, but we have video that we're going to post. And so if you don't like listening to this stuff, you'd rather watch it, we're going to post this to our YouTube page.
If you'd rather look at us than listen.
Which is a bad thing.
Or if you don't want to look at us, just listen.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I would rather do.
Exactly.
For sure. We're going to try to record this thing with a video, and we're going to try to sync it up. We'll see how it goes. So I may be saying right now that we have video, and we may not have video. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how it goes. But anyways, you guys, down to business. We're talking today about life hacks. What are the little things that you guys can do to make your life better in some way? It's like the little tips and tricks you kind of hear people doing, like, you know, setting their temperature to a certain degree in order to go to sleep, or taking cold showers, or taking saunas, or, you know, hot water with lemon, like that kind of stuff. We're going to go through a few of our personal favorites and the things that we've been doing. So things we think might help you, but really kind of dive into the why behind that stuff, you know, like what's the research behind this? What's it showing, and why should you or shouldn't you give it a shot?
Cool.
Right on, you guys. Heck yeah. So I made a list of basically everything that I do. You know what I mean? Like I was like, oh man, I do this, I try to do this, I do this. And then I was like, but what are the ones that I do that I feel really benefit me the most? And then I'm going to do some research on that stuff and the kind of why behind it, which is such a funny thing. Like I'm definitely like I'll give that a shot and see how I feel type person. Not a like, I'm going to research the hell out of that and then see if I want to do it after I do my research. Because I'm more into like, do I feel like it works or not? Yeah. And placebos work, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If you believe in them. And so like I'm one of those types of people. And so the stuff that I decided to dive into was the 3 things that I felt have had a really actually impact on my performance, my mental clarity, me being happy, me being able to sleep, like all that sort of stuff. So they're pretty, I think they work regardless of what the studies say. Yeah. That's good. Awesome. So I had a list of stuff, man. I've tried saunas, cold therapy, yin yoga. That's like Ramwat stuff. I just ordered a pair of the blue light glasses after we did the episode on sleep. And so I've got those coming. I'm going to be working on that stuff. I got some hot water with lemon and sea salt and apple cider vinegar every morning. I've been trying not to drink caffeine until after I'm awake. I meditate daily. I've been looking really into the difference between introverts and extroverts. I'm a really big introvert in a business that is as extrovert as you could possibly get.
It's really funny too, because I feel like I'm the exact same way. Our friend Chelsea down in Seattle, she's the same way. Yeah. Like I feel like there's a lot of people that are in, you know, like this industry that are totally like that.
I have a theory behind that.
Ooh.
I think it's because introverts find things that they really enjoy, and they can hide within those things. Like I can hide behind how much I know in CrossFit. You know what I mean? And it's easy for me to talk about something that I really enjoy. Yeah. But if you put me in a social setting around people that has nothing to do with CrossFit,
I'm like, doesn't do CrossFit. You're like,
I'm like, what the fuck? Get me out of here. You know, like this is not my place. So I've been looking into stuff like that. Introverts for the extroverts, like how to set up a perfect room for sleep, like with eye masks and earplugs and stuff, how to take advantage of sunrise versus sunsets, earthing. Brett's going to cover that today, which is just basically like walking on grass and dirt with your feet bare. I put up a little poll on my Instagram the other day. I was trying to do it. I was like, Joey had the flu. And I was like, you know what, we're going to get outside and we're going to go touch some grass on her feet and we're going to get some sunshine. I don't see how that could hurt her. You know what I mean? And so like, regardless of if it actually has any scientific benefit or not, I was like, we're going to give this a shot. We went outside and I put a little poll on my Instagram. And I was like, do you guys believe this works? And I think a majority of people said, yeah, but there was a lot of people that were like, no, that's all a bunch of bullshit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it might be, but who knows? Brett will let us know. I've been doing a lot of stuff with breathing techniques, like specifically nasal breathing only, and like increase your diaphragm, night and morning routines, fasting, travel hacks, like fasting while traveling, and like some things to do while you're on a plane versus like when you're actually in your hotel, like how should you be, you know, ordering food and sleeping, some tips and tricks for hotels, you know, like some things you can do to actually like set up, there's some things you can say that'll get you a microwave and a refrigerator in your room for free.
Yep.
I'm not going to say what it is. And then anyway, so I've done it all.
Yeah, you have a lot.
I've tried it all, and basically, like everything that I've done has just been I'll give it a shot for a while and see if I feel any better, And a lot of the stuff I've gotten rid of because I'm like, I didn't really feel any different, so I'm not going to do it. That doesn't mean it won't benefit them, but I want to dive into. Let's do this. I'll do one. You do one that you feel helps you, Brittany, and then Brett, you can dive into one, and we'll just kind of go round robin. We'll each do like 3. Cool?
Oh, 3. We have to narrow it down.
Oh, man.
I got to find another one.
Actually, I think like a lot of our stuffs are going to cross over anyway. Yeah. So.
Okay, cool. I'm going to start with my morning routine of hot water with lemon, 10 cranks of Himalayan sea salt.
Wow. That's a lot.
Is that the Costco?
No,
version?
It's not. 10.
I have the
I was like, too.
Yeah. It's only 10 cranks because it's like this little tiny bottle.
Like this big.
Yeah, and it's not much salt that comes out of it at all. But I found 10 is like a good number.
Because I was cranking on this Costco one, and Amber's like, my wife's like, how much salt are you putting in there? I was like, it's just a couple of cranks. She's like, did you see how much came out? I'm like,
have you ever kept the cap on an accident? And be like, crack, and nothing's happening? Like, what the hell? And then you take the cap off, and it's like, like, oh shit! Megan did that the other night.
Ooh.
And then I add with this Himalayan sea salt, I added apple cider vinegar to it. So I've been doing that morning. I started doing it because I originally started with just hot water and lemon. Mm-hmm. That's what I did. And I heard that the hot water specifically helps kind of like kickstart the digestive process. Like it helps kind of like stir up some acids in your stomach that are going to break down food. And then I heard that the lemon kind of helps detoxify the liver and start pushing out a little bit of toxins. So it's supposed to be like kind of like a jump start for the digestive process that you're about to go through when you eat breakfast. And obviously, like, our gut is huge for our health, and if we can help it out in any way, great. But then I added the Himalayan sea salt and the vinegar because I heard some things about dehydration when you wake up. Anyways, we'll get into that stuff. So let's talk about why you should be doing every morning hot water, Himalayan sea salt, lemon, and apple cider vinegar. Okay, so some research on it. It purifies the colon, which makes it easier for you to absorb nutrients. It regulates blood pressure and helps take pressure off the adrenal glands. How it does this, so the hot water dilates the blood vessels and the digestive system, which preps for food. So your blood vessels dilate. That means that the size of the blood vessel increases. It makes it easier for blood to flow through the body. The easier blood can start flowing through the body, the more the digestive starts kick-starting and it starts moving. The lemon contains an antioxidant called D-limone. I'm totally saying that French because that's the way I said it. But it's D-limone. So D-limone. D-limone. It's a compound that helps flush toxins from the liver. But it's important that the lemon must be organic because any pesticides can actually kind of counteract that. So it's important that the lemons are organic and don't have pesticides on them in order for that to actually work. The apple cider vinegar helps flush the liver, controls blood sugar, so it keeps insulin under check. Controls blood sugar, boosts the immune system, and alkalines your body pH balance, which is important to get the blood flowing. So blood's not kind of clogging up in the system. It's moving rapidly through the system, which is a good thing. The Himalayan salt upregulates blood pressure, which is a good thing in the morning. You've been asleep and your blood pressure's been really low, so upregulation of blood pressure is what you want when you wake up. That's what wakes you up and gets cortisol to start being released. It protects the adrenal glands because the adrenal glands are searching for, when you wake up, it's searching for sodium in order to hydrate the body again. So if you drink a big glass of water, the adrenal gland's job is to go searching for sodium to hold on to that water that's in the body already. Well, if you give your body sodium from the pink Himalayan sea salt, it kind of gets the adrenal glands to chill out, which is something we really need because our adrenal glands are like in constant, I'm drinking coffee right now and it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. My adrenal glands are probably going to take a little bit of a hit from this. And that helps with the adrenal glands, and then it starts the hydration process. So the cells themselves, the blood cells, will be able to hold on to hydration better. So that's the why behind why you should be taking this every morning, right? Mm-hmm. Some benefits of it. So it supports the liver. The liver is responsible for metabolizing fat, production of bile, filtering toxins, and better circulation to lower inflammation. So it helps that whole process. In the morning, cortisol is at its peak. And to support this, adrenals search for sodium, like I said. So to increase blood pressure, Himalayan salt takes this burden off the adrenals. So that's why the Himalayan sea salt is in there. Some things that it can also do is reduce heartburn. This is apple cider vinegar in specific. And it regulates your insulin levels, which usually helps reduce heartburn too when your insulin levels are lower. And so it's really great they found for diabetics especially, who constantly seem to have heartburn because they have the acidity in their stomach is always searching for insulin to help out. And so it kind of like, that's why they get heartburn all the time. So it helps regulate the heartburn. They said people with arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis especially have noticed a big difference in their arthritis after adding this to their morning routine. People with acne have noticed a reduction in acne. People with body odor, they've noticed their body odor have come down. Bloating, sinus infection, headaches, and varicose veins. So this was something Megan got after she had Joey, was varicose veins, and it's supposed to help reduce varicose veins. And my guess is because of the circulation of blood flow.
Yeah.
So it helps bring those down. So I've only found benefits in taking this when I did my research. I only found benefits when I was taking it too. I didn't see any side effects, like any negative things. And when I was researching it, I was trying to do a benefit versus risk. When I was researching everything I was doing, I was okay, great, there's benefits, but there's always got to be risks to things. You know what I mean? And so it's important, I think, especially if we're putting this out to the world,
to have both sides.
Yeah, to have both sides and understanding the risks. And I couldn't find any risks on this thing. That's benefits awesome. Were regulating blood pressure, taking pressure off the adrenals, flushing out toxins from the liver, boosting the immune system, alkalizing the body's pH balance, and hydrating the cells. Add it to your morning routine.
Yeah. I've been doing this for probably more than half a year now. It's probably been like 8 months I've been doing it. And I love it. It has like a little bit of an odd taste just because of the
apple cider vinegar.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But like, I love the taste of that. Like, it almost seems like a acquired taste. Oh, it makes me feel like it's an acquired taste.
Yeah.
But,
it's like a fine whiskey.
Yeah. I've never had one, but
fine wine.
Yeah, there you go. I've had that. Every time I go anywhere, like if I don't have it, I miss it, and I'm like, I gotta just go to the store. I gotta go buy some stuff. Like, I'm gonna go get some lemons and go get some apple cider vinegar and make sure that I have that. That's like the one thing in my morning routines that I stick to the most.
I would say me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing that, and I do a shot of ginger, turmeric, and lemon as well. So I juice ginger. It's about that much ginger. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's about the size of my hand. It's a pretty decent amount of ginger.
Ginger root, like the whole ginger root.
Yeah. And then, so if you were just to have that, it'd be like, holy cow, it'd burn you up, right? But then I take about this much turmeric, so it's about the size of my fist. And then I take 3 lemons. And the lemons kind of like chill the whole thing out a little bit and make it actually like okay to take a shot of it for.
3 full lemons?
Yeah, 3 full lemons. But it makes enough for a full week.
Oh, I thought it was like one day. I was like, damn.
No. Yeah, and so I take I have it in like a bottle in my fridge like this big. And then every morning I take a 8-ounce shot of it in the morning.
Okay.
So I'll do that right first thing. And then I'll have my apple cider vinegar, hot water, lemon, and Himalayan salt.
Yeah.
That's my morning routine.
Yeah, I love it. Also, for like me, someone that has trouble drinking a lot of water, I feel like it just like gives me a reason to drink water, jumpstart, and start ticking away at my water numbers.
Yeah, and that's important because like people don't think about that. We've gone 8 hours without drinking water.
Yeah.
You're dehydrated when you wake up.
Yeah.
The bottom line.
Yeah. And if I don't have that, like, it sounds ridiculous. I don't like the taste of water. So if I don't have that, then like I'm way more likely to not drink water than.
That always drives me insane. I hear people say they don't like the taste of water. I love the taste of water. I don't know what it is.
This is going to sound like so high maintenance, but I like the taste of the Fuji water or Fiji water?
Fiji water.
No,
yeah.
I'm there with you.
Okay, yeah, I like the taste of that water.
For sure.
Yeah,
that's
definitely different.
Oh, yeah, everything else I'm just like, about.
No,
so
I
like,
hear you.
yeah, if I don't have that concoction in the morning, then I will definitely skip water and won't drink water until like 2 hours later. Then I'm like, oh, I should probably have some water. So it just like gets me going on that.
And I do the turmeric in the morning as well, but I usually have it with my scramble in the morning because I understand that turmeric with black pepper, it it gets metabolized better, and it needs a fat to get metabolized. So I usually cook whenever I have like a fat in the morning, either like avocado or eggs, like whole eggs. That is the fat that I need to get in the body that helps it metabolize, gets through and gets into the liver rather than to the.
And it tastes good?
I don't taste it.
Oh, okay, cool. That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, I don't taste. I just sprinkle some on top, and it turns your eggs more orange.
Dude, it turns so when I clean out the juicer, like I juice everything and stuff, and then when I'm washing that thing out, it turns our scrub brush completely orange. And if you get it on your hands, it's like turns your hands completely orange. It's crazy.
Wow. No, it's when the turmeric you use, it's not a powder form. It's
actual turmeric.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Nob Hill has it. It's right next, the ginger, and it's right next to it, like turmeric
so in the
and ginger.
department then.
Yeah, they're right next to each other. Cool. Yeah, they look like little turds. Yeah, but that's my first one.
Cool. Brett, you can go next.
My life hack, what I do, mine's more at nighttime. I'm a big thing I sleep really warm. I'm a warm body person when I go to bed at night. So for me, temperature is huge. And so as soon as the sun starts to go down, my goal is I need to get this house as cool as possible. And especially when the temperature drops, what I like to do is I'll open up the windows. I have a 2-story home. Our bedrooms are upstairs, so our bedrooms are usually about 5 to 7 degrees warmer than downstairs. I always joke around with Amber. It's like we need to move the bedrooms downstairs in the summertime and back up in the summertime. But anyway,
do you guys have a room downstairs you can do that?
Just a living room.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was like, I would do that for sure. No kidding.
Yeah. So what I usually do is I know that the warmer air is upstairs, so I've played around with it before. It's like, do we bring in cool air outside into the house and bring a fan and pull the air in? And that works great when you're in the room, but as soon as you turn the fan off, the temperature goes back up. So, and I've learned this from a buddy of mine is that we put a fan on the outside window and try to get a pretty decent fan, blow the air out of the room, and usually it's the opposite room we're sleeping in. So we have 2 rooms upstairs. I'll put the fan on the outside. It's actually the warmest room because it gets all the afternoon sun. I'll blow the hot air in, and then it pulls cool air from the rest of the rooms through the slider and the windows downstairs. So that usually will drop the temperature down quite a bit. And actually I'll do that in the morning time too. As soon as we wake up, I'll open the windows, turn the fan on, cool that temperature down as much as I can, so that way it keeps the temperature down throughout the day as the temperature goes up. But yeah, my goal is to drop that temperature down at least to 70 if I can. Usually it's hard to get it down anymore, down to below 69, 68. It has to be really, really cool.
Yeah.
But that helps me at night, and that's mainly because your body needs to be in a lower temperature to sleep. If you ever notice, like when you're warm, if it's hot out and you're laying in bed, if it's really hot, it's hard for you to get to sleep. And if you wake up in the middle of the night, you'll notice maybe before it's like, I can't have a sheet on me, I'm just so warm.
Yeah.
But then if you wake up in the middle of the night, you feel colder. It's because your body's temperature dropped down, and now you need to cover up a little bit. So your body definitely needs temperature drop to get to sleep.
Yeah, I've heard that it goes back to evolutionary times where it would get cold outside, and when it would get cold, it was a signal to go to bed and hibernate, right? And so that's like our body's another one of the triggers to get us to secrete melatonin and go to bed is to drop the temperature. Yeah. Do you guys have air conditioning?
We do, and we with the recent fires and everything, we haven't opened up the windows because the air quality is so bad.
Yeah.
And they've been suggesting don't open the windows, just use recirculating air conditioning. So we do that, but it just runs forever. It runs down. And I try not to. If we do that when it's really hot like that and the air quality is bad, I'll keep our temperature like around 78, and then right before we go to bed, I'll drop it like 2 or 3 degrees, and then I'll have a fan just on a light breeze. So
our house, it's like on 24/7. I feel like because we keep our house at like 68 all the time, but like our electric bill is just through the roof.
I bet, because we keep ours at 78, and I can imagine. I told Amber, like, man, they keep it at 68. Can you imagine dropping that thing 10 degrees?
No, yeah, it's bad. But so like when we're not there, we don't have it on, obviously. But if we're in the house, it's on, and I'm like, I'd rather pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Man. My dad likes to turn on the heater like in the middle of the night. I don't know.
In the summertime?
Just all the time. Reed dies.
Oh, yeah.
Dies.
Well, he's a woolly mammoth, so.
Yeah. But I don't notice it like as much for myself. I don't know. And I don't know if it's a difference between male and females, but like I don't notice.
But you said that when you were at your old apartment, you guys would get extremely hot. Like your room would get.
Oh yeah, that was like
story.
It was like like 85 degrees in the house. So like,
and
that's
that would keep you from sleeping.
Hot. Yeah. But like, I feel like where I guess.
So temperature matters.
So it does. I guess where I'm at, you know, the temperature is never super hot over there.
You guys don't get that hot and sleepless.
Yeah. But I was thinking about this just even last night. I would do this a little bit more when I was like training a little bit harder. And whenever I would shower before I went to bed, for the last little bit, I would turn the water down, and the water doesn't get super cool where we're at. So it would be like kind of cool, but not enough for you to just like shriek and like have to jump out. But it was like cool enough where it was like, ooh, okay, like I can stand this. And I think I've heard, I don't have the numbers on me, but if you do like some sort of super cold ice bath before you go to bed, it might create this response where you have some sort of adrenaline spike, and it might make it harder to come down to go to sleep. Yep. So you wouldn't want to do anything too cold, but you want to do something that's a little bit colder, right? So then you can start calming down a little bit. And then after I would jump out of the shower, like I would kind of let my body just like air dry off. And like I was doing this like last night, and it was colder outside of the shower than what it was in the shower, you know? So then I felt like I could feel the coldness, and I was like, ooh, like all that I want to do now
get under covers.
Yeah, get under covers, you know, cuddle up and go to sleep. And so I thought that was really helpful.
Yeah, I remember Megan doing research when I was competing, and she found that like the most optimal degree to sleep in was 68 degrees. And so any hotel we would ever go to for regionals or the games, it was that thing was set at 68. And she was awesome. She had like set at 68. Now, like I told her this year, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go for it again. And the house has been 68. You know, it's like she's so rad. Like she knows like it's got to stay there. And there's something about that, like you were saying, it's just that slow, steady drop in temperature. And that's just our bodies going back to an evolutionary past, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not like you go from 85 degrees to 68. There's got to be like a slow, steady drop that happens to that. And that's what you were talking about, getting out of the shower. So.
Yeah.
Cool. Heck yeah.
All right. My hack. I'm gonna bring this one up because you had mentioned something, the personality stuff. So it's a little bit different in the fact that it doesn't have to do with one individual person, but I am like a big believer in knowing, like doing personality tests and knowing different people's personalities and your own, and also love languages. I'm like super huge on that. I think it's really important to know that everyone isn't just like you, right? And especially with the love languages, I feel like it's been really helpful in my relationship with my family, my relationship with myself and knowing what I need, my relationship with Reed, my relationship with Wes. But basically, have you heard of love?
No, I was going to say, what's love language?
You've never read that book, really?
It's pretty popular.
You have to read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's really cool.
Yeah. So basically, everyone feels love in a different way. So there's 7 different love languages. There's receiving gifts. There is physical touch. Yep. There is quality time. Acts of service.
Acts of service, yeah. That's mine.
What are the other ones?
I don't remember off the top of my head. We can Google this.
I know. I should know all of them. I used to be like, blah, 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 blah. But basically everyone feels love in a different way. So like his is acts of service. Yep. So I know that his is acts of service, that Wes is acts of service.
That you express it or that you receive?
That he receives it. That's
like if you were question. Like that day, like one day, Brittany leaf blowed without me asking for her to, and it was like the best thing she's ever done.
Yeah,
in my opinion, I was like, she's
oh my
leaf blowing, like holy cow, that's so awesome.
She loves me. She loves the gym. Yeah, like she cares about us.
Yeah,
you know. And on the other side, and most people have like it's not just one. Like you might have a dominant one, and probably something that's pretty close underneath that. And so for me, I feel like mine is physical touch. And I feel like mine is also words of affirmation. That's another one.
Oh, there's only 5.
Okay, 5.
Words of affirmation, cool. Quality time, receiving gifts. I don't want to do WMD. Receiving, where the hell to go? Words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch.
Yes. So mine is physical touch, and I would say words of affirmation. And there was one time.
You can't have 2.
Oh, I think number 1 is...
Oh, okay, so there's okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that's my hierarchy.
Dang, she's all... My acts of love are all 5.
So there was like one open workout where like I just... it wasn't even that bad. Oh, kind of. Like, it was the one where it was the squats and the burpees, and then it was the max lift after, and I went so hard. I PR'd. I did better on the squats and the burpees, and then the lift came around, and like warming up, like I was like, oh my gosh, I can totally PR today. I felt so good in warming up, and then I get to the first lift, and I missed my first lift, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was just so done for. And so I didn't end up doing better on the lift, and
her face went from like, here we go, to just,
yeah. And I was like so bummed out, and I'm like laying down on the ground, like trying to stay calm. And Wes had already knew at this point what my love language was, and he came over and he just like rubbed my back, and I just like started crying in a good way, a way that I felt like super like just this amazing abundance of comfort from him. And it felt like so nice, like just to have that in that moment. And I was like, oh, he loves me even though I just did awful at that. I know that he always would, but I think that it's really important to know what other people's are, because like if I just try to like hug him all the time,
I'd be like, get off of me.
Yeah,
I don't like touch.
But that's mine, you know. And I think on the other side, he knows like that I know that makes him a little bit uncomfortable. So when he does do those little like, hey Brittany, or like gives me a little hug, like I know that he's trying really hard to show me love, and I can appreciate that and really take that for like big value, you know, that he's stepping out of his comfort zone to show me that. And so like I really try to play off of this as much as I can with like my family and those that like I'm really close to. And I mean, I would love to know everyone's.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so how do you find that out in people?
Yeah, you
just kind of work your way through them and see what they respond to.
Yeah, you could totally
run up and hug somebody and see what they do.
Or I think like I've totally been like, hey Reed, like I really think that I should know this, and like explain it to him, and I was like, I think that you should like take the test, you know, and he is totally fine with it, and he'll just go take it online. Or like he said that there's a book on it too. Okay. So you can do that one as well. But I also think that people not only like, do you receive it in a certain way? I think that people have, they show like, even though mine is like, I feel loved when people like hug me or like tell me that I'm like so freaking awesome. That's not like my go-tos for other people. My go-tos are I don't even know what they are right now off the top of my head. They're probably, my go-to is words of affirmation too. Gotcha. Like I tell people a lot like, hey, you're doing really awesome, or like, I really appreciate this, or like, you're doing really good job on this, good job on that. And that's like my go-to. So yeah, I don't know. I think that it's been really helpful in my life. And I think that it's a big hack, especially if you are trying to, you know, really work at the relationships that you're in.
Awesome. Heck yeah. The next thing that I've been really experimenting with a lot, and it started because I really started traveling a ton this year, was intermittent fasting. And I had heard a couple guys on staff that I work with mention that they had been fasting while they were traveling only. And so, we'll go from West Coast, East Coast, or we'll go to Brazil or Asia or all over the world, right? And so you have these flights that you're 18 hours, you're not moving, you're stuck on this plane, and everybody knows that blood flow is like what keeps, you know, good circulation is great to keep inflammation low. And so when you're on a flight for that long, like inflammation is going to happen just because the blood stops flowing. And if we add to that with food and insulin response, the inflammation even gets worse. And so they had started fasting when they were traveling. They'd noticed a big difference. So I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot, you know, just when I'm traveling. I was terrified to do this because number one, I'm a complete jerk when I don't eat, you know, like, and it's something that I've recognized is not a good thing. Like, I should not allow food to control my emotions. You know what I mean? Because what if I don't have food? I should be okay with that. That's not good. You know, you're allowing something to control your emotions. So anyways, so I tried it for like the last 3 months of travel that I did, and it was awesome. It was really hard the first couple times I did it, and what I was doing was basically like my last meal was at 10 p.m. the night before, and then I would go 16 hours without eating, only drinking water or tea of some type with no caffeine in it. And I noticed that my ankles weren't as swollen when I would get off the plane. My knees felt better, my hips felt better. I was in a better mood. I noticed I was like making random conversation with people on the plane, which is something that I wouldn't normally do at all. Like, yeah, I'm like a headphones in, like doing my thing type of guy.
Introvert.
Yeah, totally. And that's one of the best parts about flights. You're like introvert world right there. Yeah. It's awesome. Unless you get somebody who wants to talk to you. But, and everything seemed to get really good. The only problem I had with it was like trying to not go into starvation mode where you were like in a caloric deficit because of it. So like I still wanted to get in the amount of food that I needed to get in that day so my body wouldn't go into starvation mode. We can go into that in another episode. But that was kind of hard to do. Like getting to the hotel and then having like, 5 hours to get in as much food as you could in a good way too. Yeah. I sent you guys some pictures of not good ways to do it. It was like French fries and sushi and burgers and like, and
all in one sitting.
All of that. And I was able to eat it all too, like no problem. It was kind of creepy, but I feel great like the next morning and everything. And so did some research on the stuff, and I found a lot of benefits, but I also found some risks in this one too. Yeah. And so there are some conflicting things, and if you are going to give this a shot, I think it's important to understand that it's definitely not, I don't believe that it's something that should be done on the regular. In fact, I think it should be something that's done almost irregularly, just to keep the body kind of being what we call metabolically flexible, where it's able to use either sugar as a fuel burning source or fat as a fuel burning source. And so its ability to transfer between the two, I think, is very important. But I don't think it's something that like people should. I want to like make this disclaimer now. It's not something that people should be using to lose weight. I think that it's something people should be using for way bigger benefits like that. I'm talking about like type 2 diabetes. I'm talking about like chronic inflammation or arthritis, like those types of things. I think it has major benefit for those types of people. But if you're looking at doing intermittent fasting to lose weight, I don't think it's something you should do.
When we say intermittent fasting, is there a certain time window that you're talking about? Like, because I know if we had dinner at night at 8 and we wake up in the morning, we have breakfast at 8, that's 12 hours that we're not eating.
Yeah, so there's varying degrees and varying different thoughts on what is intermittent fasting, and some people say 12 hours, some people say 16, some people say 10, some people say whatever. I think honestly, doing the research, it seems like it's very just independently variable on each person and how their body's reacting to it. If you're morbidly obese and your body is insulin dependent, you know what I mean, then I think that it's probably not a very good thing for you to do right off the bat, or you might have to start with very small amounts of windows of it, right? If even if you're underweight, you're extremely underweight and you have like zero fat in your body, I don't think it's something you should be doing either. And so I think the varying degrees which you need to do this by are very independent. And I would say talk to a nutritionist and get somebody to look at your stuff and to make sure that everything else is dialed in first. You know what I mean? Like, are you eating healthy? Are you going to bed on time? Is your life good? And do you have some type of routine in what you're doing before you start adding this in? I would say this is the same thing as like people trying to like go from, eating Kentucky Fried Chicken at McDonald's every day to like Whole30. Like, it's not going to last. It's just got to be like a performance enhancer that you use because you do travel all the time, or you're a shift worker, or you have type 2 diabetes, but everything else is dialed in, and it might be something that might help you a little bit. Right. It's like a supplement.
It's like that one. Like, these are the 1% things.
Everything we're talking about is. Everything we're talking about is.
And so this is the 1% after you've done, the 99% out there, which is the eating right and all that other stuff.
So the biggest benefits that I've found from it and the research I've done has been the improvement in blood pressure and insulin sensitivity. And I think the insulin sensitivity is the big one. Yeah. So there was a couple studies specifically that I looked into. One was from 2014. It was published in the Medical News Today. And it was on 1 day of water-only fasting. So this guy went 24 hours with just drinking water, and he saw he was a diabetic, and they saw a major decrease in his risk of diabetes. So his insulin sensitivity went up, which is an awesome thing, right? That's great. Sure. Another study that I looked into was by Dr. Walter Longo out of University of Southern California, and they did a 2 and up to 4 day fast. And they found that it may reboot the immune system by clearing out old immune cells and regenerating new ones. Now, this is really cool stuff. My father-in-law recently just got diagnosed with cancer and went through chemotherapy, and I think that this is something that could have really helped him out a ton, because they found that it can protect against cell damage caused by factors like aging, just happens as we age, our bodies get oxidized and we have cell damage that happens, or from chemotherapy. Chemotherapy oxidizes cells and damages them, right? And so it's helping regenerate or reboost the immune system by regenerating brand new immune cells. after doing 2 to 4 days of water only fasting, I have a feeling this is just because it's getting rid of all the excess crappy sugar that's floating around in your blood. It's making you more insulin resistant, or insulin dependent, not insulin resistant, right? So your body is more adapt to use other things like fat and sugar both as a fuel source, not just depending on one. I think that's where the big cause coming in here. So there are some things with fat loss that people said, but I don't even want to get into that because I don't want anybody to think that we, as a company of Coast Range Nutrition, is saying that this is something you should do for fat loss, because I don't agree in that at all.
Yeah. Also, two different things. One, I think that if you are going to do this, you also have to kind of play around at what time the window should be. So like, I know for myself, I was doing it for a little while. If I cut off my eating too far away from bedtime, I would notice that when I was going to bed, or like I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would be like, oh my gosh, I'm so hungry, or have these like bad hunger pangs, and I would start sweating and it would keep me up. And I think because my blood sugar was just dropping too low.
Yeah, and that's one of the risks that I'm going to go over in a second, that they did notice that it was something that would go away after time, but it is something that could be a risk that you would have to deal with for a little bit of time for sure.
But I could also, like, what I did instead was I ate closer to bedtime, and then I took a longer time in the morning. So like, I just shift things around and found what worked for me. So I think that's important to know, is like, it doesn't have to be like, you don't just play around with it and see what works for your body. Going back to the traveling part of it. Because I was kind of researching it too, and what I had seen is that with traveling, especially if you're traveling to a different time zone, it's good to do it to fast, so that once you're fasting on the flight, just like you would fast over bedtime, when you're asleep. And then once you get off of the plane is when you would eat. Now, the thing with that is, like, then you kind of have to like plan out, because I randomly one day I was like, oh, I'm traveling, so like I should try this out. And then I like looked at the times, and I would have been fasting for like 38 hours. And I was like, yeah, that's too gnarly for my first time.
And go to sleep, and then
so it would continue on with my sleep. So then I would wake up, then I would have food, and like my body would be right back onto the normal track. And it kind of helps with what is it called when you go to
circadian rhythm?
Yeah that's what it's called, but there's another term for it when you travel time zones and like you can't get back on the time.
Jet lag.
Yeah, there you go.
Jet lag. Yeah. It
helps with that as well.
Think about it, man. Like we can go from different time zone in hours. That used to take us months to do.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted to go from the West Coast to East Coast, that was like a lifetime journey that you had to go. And so your body would slowly adapt to that new time zone as you
with the sun,
took your horse and buggy.
Yeah, exactly. But you'd still see the sun come up and go down, and you'd be in that heat and stuff on your horse, and your body would just change with it.
Fly there, done, and your body's like, what the hell just happened? One of the other really big things that I saw that really piqued my interest was that they noted that people with mental illnesses, depression, bipolar, that after a few days of water only fasting, that they saw a huge increase in what they call feel good hormones released into the bloodstream that really help these people with mental illness or bipolar disorder and stuff like that. So it made them feel happier. They were able to I remember seeing somewhere, and I couldn't find it, I was looking for it everywhere, that there was a guy who had decided that he was going to commit suicide. And the way, because he had serious mental issues, and the way he was going to commit suicide, he was just going to starve himself to death. And as he started slowly starving himself to death, like he got to the point where he felt like it was going to happen and it was over, and he was super depressed. And then he woke up one morning and he was just like, ding, the world is awesome. Everything is awesome. I feel amazing.
Wow.
Like, boom. And it totally reset his system. He wrote a book on it, and I couldn't find it anywhere. I don't know why I wasn't pulling up. But if anybody out there has ever heard of this before, please let us know, because I want to get that out to people, because I remember hearing about this story. And he now travels around the world and like teaches people about fasting, basically, and how it can like save them mentally. And they're seeing a big a lot of research is now being done in the mental field with bipolar disorder or mental illness and fasting, and showing a big uptick in that stuff and help there. So benefits: improved blood pressure, insulin sensitivity, regenerating immune cells, and then possible, help with your mental wellness, which are all great things, but some risks. Here's some things we need to talk about with this stuff. If you're type 1 diabetic, you shouldn't do this, is what they say. I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you why, but they said type 1 diabetics should not. Also, pregnant women should not be doing this either. There's a risk of dehydration in this too. It's hard to get people to drink water alone, and most of the time a lot of people are not dehydrated because the foods they're eating have a lot of water in it, and so that's kind of what keeps them hydrated, right? And so if they take those foods out, plus they're not drinking enough water, there is a possibility of dehydration. Some other things that should improve over time, but definitely, like what Brittany was talking about, some immediate issues are increased stress and disruptive sleep, because it's going to increase your cortisol a little bit because you're stressed, your body's like searching for food, and so it may keep you up at night. It could disrupt your sleep, and it could increase heartburn, specifically in type 2 diabetics at the beginning stages of it, even from the smell of food. So you smell food, and that triggers to the brain that, hey, we're really hungry, and so it starts the process of the acids moving in the stomach, which brings up heartburn. So, but those are supposed to be symptoms that will decrease over time, and so that you do it more regularly and it goes away. So some other things, it's maybe ineffective long term, so doing this too often could actually end up putting you into a starvation mode where your body is craving some type of fuel regularly, and if it's not getting that, it's too erotic or too erratic. That your body could go into like a starvation or kind of like storage mode, which would be good. And if you're underweight, you should avoid this too.
I also know that I heard that with regards to intermittent fasting, that it also increases HGH release as well.
I'm into that.
Because when you eat, then it stops the production of cortisol, or production of HGH. So by going intermittent fasting, you are extending that window of HGH production.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Cool. Do we have time for any more?
We got 2 hours left on this bad boy.
We have all the days. Mm-hmm. All right, Brett.
I upgraded our thing.
So one thing I've always kind of found that I've been enjoying, but I didn't really know that I was doing it or what I was doing, is something called earthing or grounding. And it's just basically walking outside barefoot in the grass, in the dirt, on the beach, laying down.
Yeah.
Just how good that feels. And
I'm into that hippie shit.
Yeah, it's totally hippie shit, isn't it?
I'm into it, though. I like it.
So doing something, I've always kind of noticed, it's like when you're inside all the time and wearing shoes, or it's like winter time, it's always cold, and it's like you're inside all the time and you just don't feel right. But then when you walk around in your bare feet, just the sensation of the grass between your toes or whatever, just always feels good. But I've doing some research on it and found that there is some actual benefit towards it. There's the whole idea that the earth has all these electrons, and it's going through your body when you're walking around barefoot. It's kind of sending that sensation up. Some benefits to it would be decreased cortisol, which is also reduction in stress, helps you sleep at night, even helps you with the skin complexion as well. So there's all these little things that are helping out with that. And I always felt that I always want to be on the beach, or want to be walking around outside on with bare grass, take my shoes off and walk around. Just felt so good. That's one of the things like I've always known that I've enjoyed, but I didn't know that there's actual health benefits to doing it, other than just it feels kind of cool.
Yeah, it might be one of those like the placebo effect things too, right? True. You know what I mean? Like if you believe it works, it probably works because you're looking for it. But if you don't think it works, it may not do anything for you. You know.
Sure.
But I think there is some think about it. Like you get upset, you get stressed. Like what do people tell you to do? Like go take a walk. Go take a walk, right? And like a lot of times, especially like people who live by the beach will go take a walk. They take their shoes off, they walk on the beach. They have opportunity to kind of clear their mind. There's nothing going on, and they're kind of connecting themselves with the earth. And if you agree with that or don't agree with it, all I would say is like with anything, like we talked about the cold showers and stuff, try it.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, what's it going to do if it doesn't work? Nothing. You just walk around some grass. Like,
you get your feet dirty. That might be it.
Yeah, that's it. You got your feet a little dirty. It's all good. I would just say just try it. And when you do try these things, let's say you're going to try the intermittent fasting, you're going to try the love language thing or whatever. When you try it, try to put yourself in like some sort of a clinical-ish setting when you do it. Like think about like, okay, how do I feel now? What am I looking for to get from these things? And then make notes on it. Like, are you feeling benefits from it? Don't just like kind of walk, I'll try it this day and then not notice anything. Because you got to have some sort of like data to like tell you if it's working or not.
Yeah, totally. I agree with that. All right.
You got anything else? I got one more.
I can go for days too.
Heck yeah. Dude, I had so many things. I was like, God.
The next thing that I'm going to talk about is probably going to be like, guys are going to tune out, but I think that's perfect. I think this one's for all the ladies out there.
Take off?
Yeah.
So, I mean, growing up, right, like, okay, females obviously go through their menstrual cycle. Duh. And really, it wasn't like I knew that I would go through these things and have these emotions. But my emotions started going like pretty crazy, and I was like, like crying all kinds. And Wes is like, this is just part of being a girl, you know? And I was like, well, yeah, I agree. And like, I think that he had it in his head too. Like,